including biotech, Honorable Speaker. They have better capacity to handle these kind of issues than Kenya. Honorable Speaker, while the CS is here, I would request him. Kenyans have spoken in one voice. We do not want that facility of Ebola here in Kenya. Please listen to the Kenyan voices. And Honorable Speaker, as the CS is here, the CS should actually bite himself and the obligations to what the Kenyans are looking forward to. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, in terms of the fragility of our health sector, and also listening to some officials from the US proclaiming clearly that they do not want any case of Ebola in their country, how reckless would the government be in doing exactly the same that which the country that is the US do not want in their soil? As Kenyans, we refuse. The government must listen to Kenyans and desist from having this quarantine in Kenya.
Yes, Mama Zamzam.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi pia niweze kumwelezea waziri. Ndio, Ebola na kujitayarisha ni kitu kizuri sana, kwa sababu hawa ni majirani zetu, wengine wanatuuzia kahawa umumu, wengine wanafanya nini, lakini iwe ni kama kukinga wa Kenya peke yake, waziri. Lakini waziri, ikiwa, na mimi nataka niwaambie hata wale wabunge walikuwa hapa, kwa sababu inasemekana hiyo ilipita hapa bunge hapa, na Ndindi Nyoro ulikuwa hapa kwa hii bunge. Kwa hiyo ni vitu ambavyo mngeweza kukataa wakati ule, ili isiweze kupita, mumpatie rais wakati mgumu. Waziri, mimi napenda kusema tu, kama Mwamerika amekataa kule kwake, hapa Kenya tukubali, na nasikia katika counties 20 ambao walikuwa wamekubali, Mombasa ilikuwa moja wao. Kama mama Mombasa, sitaki kuona mzungu kule anatibiwa Ebola. Iwe kama itajengwa ni ya kuangalia watu wetu peke yake, waziri. Sisi ni kitu kizuri na tuna support kama tuwe na preparedness. Manake sisi ni majirani, huwezi jua, na wanasema ina spray na unyevunyevu, either through sex ama maji ama mate. Hizo vitu tumesikia. Lakini sasa huwezi jua kitu yote za kutokea, Mheshimiwa Spika, kitu chochote chaweza kutokea. Na ikitokea iwe ni sisi wa Kenya peke yetu, isiwe kuwa ni mtu mwingine anakuja kutibiwa hapa, waende kwao ama warudi Kongo, kule walipata ugonjwa watibiwe Kongo. Asante sana Spika.
Yes, Ichungwa.
Honorable Speaker, first I don't know whether Honorable Zamzam, but the Deputy Speaker tells me Honorable Zamzam is actually right, because the Minister did speak about... But that's what the Minister said. Bodily fluids.
She simply said what the Minister said.
So, bodily fluids could be transmitted in many ways.
The Minister didn't speak in such good Swahili. Or at all.
So, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me first begin by thanking the Minister for this statement, because as Honorable Sarah Correa has said, is indeed very elaborate. And also to note, Honorable Speaker, that at the time this agreement was tabled in this House, I highly suspect the Honorable Adam Duale, as leader of majority, is the one who tabled this report in 2015. And the subsequent one tabled in 2022 was tabled by the Honorable Kimunya, my predecessor, as leader of majority. And it is true that the agreement between the Republic of Kenya and the United States was tabled, debated, and ratified by this House. Therefore, even as we speak, I know there is a temptation, Honorable Speaker, to speak to the gallery. And I wanted to begin by asking the CS to clarify just one thing that he has already said in his statement, but which many of us probably did not hear, or we have blocked our ears from hearing it. And because I have the privilege of having a copy of this statement here, Honorable Speaker, the CS did state that the proposed Ebola treatment and isolation unit at the Laikipia Air Base is part of the 23 similar units to be established in the country as part of our preparedness and response. So I would want first CS clarify to us and to the country that we are not establishing one isolation center at Laikipia Air Base. The one at Laikipia Air Base is one amongst 23 others. Two honorable CS, including some of the ones, the minister did name a few, including one in Busia, was it Alupe or somewhere?
Order. Gone.
Two, Honorable Speaker, I want the minister to clarify to us and to the country something again that he has said in this statement, that this isolation center is not being established for foreigners exclusively. The minister has said that we have 2 Kenyan banks with Kenyans, our sons and daughters working in the DRC, some in Uganda. We have 450 of our armed men, our armed officers, who have given their lives to protect our lives in this country and the region, our region of peace. Should any of those 450 of our officers, our sons and daughters in DRC, God forbid, catch the Ebola virus, where shall we take them? Do we take them to America? Do we leave them to die in the Congo forest? Or do we establish isolation centers as any responsible government and administration would do to make sure that should you, Honorable Speaker, this weekend, I traveled to Rwanda. Honorable Speaker, I traveled to Rwanda as a Kenyan.
Yes, Millie, what is
Any
the point
other
of order?
Kenyan would have traveled to Congo.
Yes, Millie.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I had to interrupt the majority leader, especially now that I'm in leadership of the broad-based. But I'm just wondering, is the honorable member in order to imply that the United States of America is looking for clarification? I am not saying, yes. Mr. Speaker, I plead the Fifth Amendment. I just want to know from the...
Okay.
Honorable Speaker, in direct response to my sister, Honorable Millie, I am very well versed with our standing orders. I would never allude to the responsibility of a friendly nation on the floor of this House. I will not do that. But my point was, Honorable Speaker, back to my point, that as a responsible country, should we or should we not have isolation centers? Because this disease, we can't run away from the fact that it is there, and it is there in our neighborhood, in this region. Therefore, the question that I wanted the CS to clarify,
Yes.
and I'm saying this, Honorable Speaker, deliberately in a leading manner, so that the CS clarifies for us and for the nation, this isolation center, from what I read in his statement, you know, Honorable Speaker, the problem is that members don't listen, like the member for Aldai is making noise and distracting me. And that is why maybe we may have missed some of the issues the CS has said. Because my understanding, and that is the clarification I sought, was that this isolation center is for preparedness, even to cater for Kenyans who may catch the disease, whether it is a staff of KCB, Equity Bank, or one of our armed officers who are working in DRC. Should they catch the disease, for instance, the military, the natural thing would be if it was the commander-in-chief or the CDF, airlift anyone in an isolated manner to the airbase, to the isolation center there, to be treated there. But a truck driver, Honorable Speaker, who
Senator,
catches the disease in DRC, in Goma, and probably is detected at the Busia border. Is there a facility at the Busia border? Because I have read about the laboratory testing there. Maybe among us, the 23, the CS should also clarify where are these other 23 centers to be established? Do we have them around the border with Uganda and where the trucks are passing, both legal and the illegal crossings? Because I see in the statement he's spoken about the legal crossings. But there are also illegal border points. What are we doing? Lastly, CS. On your preparedness, you have spoken about the 100 contact tracing. We're at about 100%, 87% on laboratory readiness, rapid response teams at 90%, infection prevention and control at 56%. But you have also told us that we have kits for the first 200 suspected cases. And that is where preparedness comes in, Honorable Speaker, and I hope the CS can tell us, have you then prepared? Because I've also seen your request. You are saying the first 100 cases will cost about 2.686 billion. Is this money already provided for in the budget? Or should we, as we go to the budget process, now factor additional resources for this preparedness for Ebola? Because the first 200, if we learned anything from COVID, to get from 0 to 1,000 cases would take less than 3-4 weeks. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I would just seek those clarifications. And Honorable Speaker, let me just close by saying this. Ebola is a dangerous disease from what we have seen. But as a country, we must be prepared. And those isolation centers ought to be there, but they cannot be exclusively for others to use without Kenyans. And I think that's the very critical clarification. Because, Honorable Speaker, you know, in closing, this country, as Michael Joseph once told us, we have peculiar habits. Now, as politicians, many of us are very good experts in Ebola. And many Kenyans, almost all Kenyans are experts in Ebola. Let us hear from the experts, including the doctors here.
Waziri, let him respond to those. But before that, Minister, allow me to acknowledge your children, students in the galleries. In the Speaker's Gallery, we have Githunguri Girls School from Kandara, Muranga. We have St. Musingu High School from Ikolomani, Kakamega. Students, when your school is mentioned, you stand up to be acknowledged. In the public gallery, we have Kapsimbeyo School from Kuresoi South, Nakuru, USIU Africa, I believe there are students from Roysambu, Nairobi, Masjid Al-Amen Academy from Starehe, Nairobi, Gijiwe Methodist Fellowship from South Imenti, Meru, and Githurai Mixed School, Ruiru, Kiambu. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to Parliament. Minister, you can proceed to respond. Thereafter, we'll take another round, which will be the last one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am ready to answer the valid questions by our honorable members, my colleagues. But Honorable Speaker, we are dealing with a very abnormal situation. And I want the House to look at the Public Health Act, Section 35 and Section 36. That mandates the Ministry of Health to take all the necessary action to protect and safeguard the safety of our citizens, our visitors, and all those who live within the borders of our country from any of the infectious diseases. To my sister, Honorable Sarah Koreri, but before even Honorable Speaker, I answer that question, first, I think for information, we have 12 counties which are very high risk. These counties are Nairobi, Mombasa, Uasin Gishu, Busia, Kisumu, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, Turkana, Homa Bay, and Migori. And this is because of the air, the road, transport, and the northern corridor. Then we have got high risk. The first one was very high risk. The high risk counties are 13. These are Vihiga, Kakamega, Nakuru, Kericho, Nandi, Kiambu, Machakos, Makueni, Kilifi, Taita Taveta, Isiolo, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Garissa. Honorable Speaker, again, for the information of the House, as of today, we have designated, verified 3 major hospitals as treatment centers. Kenyatta National Hospital, the Kenya National Police Hospital, MTRH in Eldoret. Secondly, we have also identified that we are in the process of completing the isolation, the treatment center of 2 hospitals in Busia. And I want to urge my sister, Mary Emase, even before COVID, the people of Busia and the country as a large, under the Ministry of Health, agreed that Alupe Hospital, a research center, is one of the very few infectious research hospitals. So in terms of qualification, that hospital is the most qualified because it's a research and infectious. Where have we done that? So in Busia, we have Alupe Sub-County Hospital, Referral Hospital, and we have Kocholie Sub-County Hospital. The reason why we picked on those 2, you know, that is where the biggest
for
crossing.
the record, it's called Kocholia, not
Kocholia. Kocholia. That is where the epicenter in terms of crossing from either DRC, our tracks, and the movement are. But we are doing assessment of these sites in the following counties. And Honorable Speaker, under the Public Health Act, we don't need to do public participation. We are not going to consult citizens. Even members of parliament here, when they fall sick, they rush to their doctor to make sure they get the best treatment. So this epidemic does not require any consultation. Tomorrow, God forbid, if Ebola is found in this country, this House will call me back here to this chair to ask in our country. Honorable Speaker, on Laikipia Air Base is one of the 23 quarantine isolation center we are building. And we will not stop it. Why we are building? We are building in the air base, far from even, and there are a number of reasons why. The runway in Laikipia is one of the longest runway. That is where we have KDF medical team. That is why even our 450 Kenyans who are serving today under the UN, our special forces, the quick response unit. I'm the Speaker, I was a Minister for Defense. I went to Ituri. I know all those areas. Those who have gone to Lumumbashi. Kenyans, the biggest hospitals in DRC are run by Kenyans, are owned by Kenyans. So we must protect, Mr. Speaker. So Laikipia will protect both Kenyans and the US. Honorable Speaker, when we had the COVID, and some of us were members of parliament here, the UN, the US, and many other international bodies built a hospital in Nairobi Hospital, a UN specialized hospital to deal with COVID. There was no noise that time. We have a responsibility to protect the residents.
Let him respond.
Honorable Speaker, on what the Secretary of State, Mark Rubio, said, that if it was said by the Minister, the Secretary of Health, I will respond. But I think That is an area for diplomats. The best person to respond to this house is the PCS. Because if it was my colleague C.S. Kennedy, Alupe have answered very well. Laikipia we will build. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, I think you are a bit very unfair. Because if all counties refuse to host isolation centers, the way you are suggesting, where will the Kenyans who will be infected, God forbid, go? I mean, as a leader, I don't think that way we can be irresponsible. And I agree with you, Madam Zamzam. Semen is part of the fluid. You are right. You are right. I saw people laughing at her. Body fluids. When we talk of body fluids, there are different types. Semen is one of the body fluids. So Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, I really want to urge you, my very good friend, if we say every county refuses, then where are we going to treat Kenyans? Are we going to treat them up in the air? We as a government have a responsibility. We can still even create another isolation center in one of our barracks in any part of the country. If today it was in Mordecai in Garissa, in Isiolo, so it will treat both Kenyans and foreigners. And please, let us not politicize it. The document that we signed, and it was for the good of our country. It's the good of our country. It was good for our country. Kenya, Honorable Speaker, is number 2 in terms of healthcare delivery. South Africa is ahead of us. And very soon, even the US that you are praising, having a very good healthcare system, I can assure you, under the good leadership of President Ruto, we will become number 1 in healthcare delivery in another 10 years. Honorable Kimani, I have given all the 23 on our table of all the isolation centers, including let us not politicize the health of our citizens. And I want to ask a question, Honorable Speaker. A Kenyan who is in DRC crosses today. He passes through the scanners in Busia.
Minister, you are not here to ask questions.
Yes.
Give a hypothesis.
No, Honorable, I want to compare with the US one.
Yes.
If a Kenyan crosses and then the scanners don't detect as having Ebola, the incubation period for this disease is 3 weeks. He comes and joins his family and the community. After 2 weeks, he's found to be infected with Ebola. What is the damage that Kenyan can cause? You know, we must look at how to save the nation. So we are more concerned about Americans coming, but we are not concerned about even the thousands of Kenyans, truck drivers who pass every day, go on there. We are just focused. Let us not make, Honorable Speaker, this thing a more of the Kenya Kwanza administration. The health of the citizens of our country is a collective responsibility. Those in government, those in the opposition. We can play around with anything else. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Sarah Korere, there have been 16 other previous Ebola outbreaks in our country. This is the 17th one. So it didn't come with this government. COVID was not with this government. So, and then Ebola and all infectious diseases, they don't know borders. They cross. They can cross from anywhere. And we must make sure the isolation and treatment centers, including the one in Laikipia, are securely controlled. The environment, even within the Laikipia, in fact, because it's the military camp, is even more secure than the ones we are putting in the counties. Any one of us can be infected with Ebola, God forbid. Healthcare workers will be trained. Waste management will be done. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mary Emasi have answered a question. Honorable Ndindi have answered this question. I think there was Honorable Zamzam under the International Health Regulation Act of 2005, which this House has adopted. We are obligated We are part of the global community. We are part of the global health security. Kenya is celebrated as one of the key leaders in global health security. We are obligated not only to take care of our own, but we are obligated to treat, to detect, and make sure even those who are not Kenyans, but who are within our border, must be taken care of, so that we are not safe until all of us are safe. I think the Honorable Deputy Minority Leader, my old colleague, the facility is receiving patients. What we have passed in the House was on infectious, biosafety, biological, which were all stipulated in the agreement. And Honorable Speaker, I have carried all the documents for this House. It was there before. You can get it from the Hansard, how it was passed, but I still have copies at the Ministry of Health. So quarantine is not only for Americans, even Kenyans will be isolated at the facility, and I have highlighted the huge Kenyan population in DRC and Uganda need our support. Honorable Speaker, I think most of the questions I have answered. The last one is, let our preparedness and response be dictated by science and not by politics. How we respond, how we protect our citizens from Ebola, which has no vaccine, it should be guided by science, but not politics. We'll go back to politics when we know the country is safe, the citizens are safe. And Honorable Speaker, finally, Nairobi is the center of the diplomatic community. The UN at Gigiri, the only one in the global south, extra 8,000 staff have been brought in the last 3 months. This is where we have the multilateral institutions. This is where we have JKA last year received 9 million visitors and about 3 million tourists. All those, plus our citizens, we must be cognizant of their health. Honorable Speaker, so like Kipia, Honorable Korere, the one on the land taken, I think it is this House again which has passed the agreement between us and our UK partners. So there's nothing illegal the government has done. Let's all of us be the voices and help us communicate to our constituencies that Ebola, and particularly this variant, is dangerous, it has no cure, and all of us must be vigilant and alert, and those of us in the health ministry, we will protect our citizens.
Order, Mary Masse. What is it, Masse? He has responded to your question. What is it you want to clarify? You want to recant what you said?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I do not want to be misunderstood. In Teso South sub-county, I have 2 sub-counties. The only hospital I have offering the normal medical services to the community is Alupe. Honorable Speaker, my position and the position of the people I represent is that there is enough land in Alupe. Let the ministry build an isolation center for quarantine purposes, away from the hospital, but not to take the hospital for that purpose. That is what we are objecting.
Point made. You have made your point, Mary, and you and the minister are saying the same thing. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, the time I allocated has been overshot. Just hold your horses. Has been overshot by 9 minutes. Given the interest, and whoever I give you just ask a question, no speeches, so that we can take another 10, 15 minutes, and you're obligated to extend from 10 by the time we are consuming now until we finish. Okay, I will give 3. Okay, my minority leader, Junet, you will be number 1 on this side. Number 2, I'll give Honorable Kiamba Susan. That is number 2. Number 3, I'll give the Chair of Health. This side, I'll give Professor Jaldeza, number 1. I'll give my Deputy Speaker, number 2. And I'll give Madenge, number 3. I've already given members of your committee. So let's start with number 1 in quick succession. Junet. I'll come to you. After Junet, Kiamba, after Kiamba, Nyikal, in that quick succession.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask this. But having noticed that, Mr. Speaker, there is a ratified document by this House. The Speaker, members should take very serious when the Speaker is putting a question. Because many of that opinion say, you just say, you don't know you're ratifying something that's going to bring a disease. So be careful next time. Next time, be careful, please. But Mr. Speaker, my question is, I have condensed this thing into 2 aspects, Mr. Speaker, and I want the Minister to clarify. What Kenyans are grappling with, Mr. Speaker, is how does the government intend to safeguard Kenyan sovereignty and decision-making authority? Just explain to the House how you have safeguarded your sovereignty and your decision-making. And then lastly, whether it is the foreign governments that will decide who gets admitted to those facilities, and whether you have done public and security assessment, and whether you have done that report public. If you answer those 4 questions, then Kenyans will be safe. Thank you very much.
Next, Kiamba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think my first one was point of order. Is it in order,
there is no
Honorable
first
Speaker?
one. I've given you to ask a question. A point of order arises when a member is on the floor. There's no member on the floor. Ask the question. If you don't, you yield the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would want to ask the Minister, now that Kenyans have spoken loudly and clear, that the context has changed and we no longer want this center, what is his recommendation? Does the wishes of Kenyans become irrelevant, or can dynamic Kenyans think, or once something is passed in this parliament, it's passed in heaven? Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me ask one. Who will be admitted in this facility, and what would be the criteria for admission? 2, will people who are already sick be transferred to this admission? 3, will people other than Americans be admitted in these institutions? And on the contrary, will Americans be admitted in the other 23 institutions that we have put in place? And why didn't we...
Nyikal, I gave you an opportunity for 1 question.
Okay,
Those are 4 now.
then let me just, I've asked 3, I'll leave it there. But let me make a comment about the agreement, because I know the agreement, I remember the discussion, and I've had time to look at it. The agreement is a general agreement, Mr. Speaker. It is not just Ebola, it is other diseases, it is nuclear materials as well. And in every point in the agreement, it says with mutual agreement. At every point in that agreement, it says with mutual agreement. So, Mr. Speaker, I only wanted to make those 2 points.
What is the point of order, Carol Mondi? What's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, is it in order for the chair of the Health Committee to mislead the House and the nation that in those two agreements, which I have here and which I've read, there's a clause that provides for the establishment of an isolation and treatment center in case of any outbreak of Ebola or any other disease? There's none. I can read them out
He
for you.
never
If
said
it is,
that.
show us, tell us the article.
Order, Honorable Carolo Mondi. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I said,
Dr. Nyekal, I heard you clearly. Take your seat. Take your seat. Carolo Mondi just wanted an entry to make an inflammatory statement. Yes. You never said that. Jaldeza? Jaldeza?
Here, thank you.
Order, Carolo Mondi. Nyekal never said what you are saying. I'm closer to him. And I listen to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to tell the House that Kenya is lucky to be having the leading and the best researchers in this region. Kenya has been taking leadership in leprosy research at Alupe, which was an isolation center. Mr. Speaker, when HIV started, HIV patients were actually isolated until people learned that it's not such contagious disease. And it was based at Cambridge, and it has done very well. And the research work which was done and the researchers were left behind for the country. Mr. Speaker, last COVID was such a threatening disease that we were actually trying to look for beds for patients who have COVID. And people are going to all sorts of funny places, including some hospitals in Kibera, and it saved people's lives. But the good thing, the Nairobi Hospital East Wing, was left behind for the hospital
Yes,
and for the country.
what is the point of order?
Oh.
Mr. Speaker,
Point of order, let's hear it.
is it right for my colleague to refer to Kibera as funny hospitals, even in Kibera? Is Kibera not a constituency?
Yes,
It's demeaning my constituency.